Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Long time, my buddy John Tran.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good. Here on the eve of the NFL Combine in terms of the actual workouts and whatnot. I've had some measurements come in today. We're going to go heavy on the Combine coverage. A lot of thoughts we want to share. Obviously, we watch college football very closely. And we've seen a lot of these players develop, and many of them, since the season has ended, trying to work on their bodies, their brand, in hopes of, the big job interview this weekend, in hopes of becoming, NFL draftee. So a lot of thoughts we want to share. Make sure you guys hit us up in the description box and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. But first, I actually want to talk to you about something because, we always take care of our Longhorns. Mm-hmm. One guy that decided on our side to come back to school, Brandon Jones, news that he's going to have ankle surgery and he's going to be out for the spring ball. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that development.
Honestly, I'm a little worried about it, especially as a defensive back. I'm only worried about his health more, not the depth depth perspective.
Yeah, because it's going to be a chance for some guys to get some
people get some reps and you get that. You get that experience within it. His leadership on the field, we saw that in the West Virginia game when he was out. It's second to none. So I hope him a quick recovery. I hope that surgery's he's already had it, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I know he's having it. I know Colin had it. And two very important people that came back for us are coming off of injuries. And surgically repaired injuries that it's a little bit worrisome to me, a little bit. But like I said, we've done a great job recruiting our secondary, so it allows the next man up approach, which that's what Tom
and good competition.
Yeah, exactly.
For multiple spots, we do have some veteran leadership there as well, and Chris Brown. But all the guys coming in, whether it's Tyler Owens, Overshawn that's there, and could be more snaps for BJ Foster, who's already really ingrained himself in the package, but another chance to get cross-trained at another position in the secondary. So wonderful opportunity for those guys. Sucks to miss, because like I said, Brandon Jones is going to be a captain.
Yeah.
He's to me, he's proven himself as a leader on the team. You look how he kind of took Caden Stearns under his wing. And, the brother came back to play for to improve his stock. I know he's back because he loves Texas and he wants to get his degree. And, he talked about that in his mom in the LHN interview. For those of you who did not see that interview, I think it's up on YouTube. If I find it, I'll put the link to that in the description as well. Outstanding interview. And it makes you want to root for the guy even more. I think he did it with Law Glendo, but
the kid just seems so mature.
Just so mature. Polished, and somebody that you could tell guys just want to be around. Insert cliche about ideal teammate, and it checks the box for Brandon Jones. The other thing you look at too was I thought he was just extremely candid about his evaluation of himself. He was like, look, I have not gotten enough interceptions. I haven't played well enough making plays on the ball. But the rest of the skill set's there. Self-awareness, leadership, speed.
He led the team in tackles.
His tackling ability, everything he does in run support. And I do think he's done a better job even with his angles. It's really just producing those turnovers. And I don't think he'll ever be the natural ball hawk instinctively the way Caden Stearns is. You can tell Caden Stearns was just blessed with that. But you don't necessarily, that's icing on the cake, right? So, like you said, wishing the best for Brandon Jones. We wanted to cover that first before we got into our draft coverage because, that's one of our guys we're rooting for, and it's gonna be one of our leaders. We're gonna need him for LSU. We're not gonna beat these elite teams, in my opinion, without a great Brandon Jones. They showed his numbers. Even despite missing 4 games, he still led the team in so many areas. So hopefully we can get him back soon, like you said. So going into the draft prep, combine, big picture across the board, not just Texas, but big picture across the board. A lot of news today about Kyler Murray, coming in at 5'10", 207 pounds.
Yeah, I didn't know you were allowed to wear stilts when you got measured. Didn't know that. But, it's whatever.
Some people think he, inflated his weight as well. It's funny because I heard Laura Rutledge.
10-pound weight in his fro.
Yeah, like I heard Laura Rutledge on Get Up this morning, and she was talking. She was like, "Yeah, like eye test in the playoff game, I thought he was like 190. So for him to come in at 207, I think that was a big shocker. But I think that alleviates a lot of the concerns that a lot of people had. I'll never forget the John Gruden. For those of you who saw the 2012 NFL draft with John Gruden and Mel Kiper Jr., and they got into a fight on camera about Russell Wilson when Mel Kiper Jr. was blasting the Seahawks for drafting Russell Wilson, and he got in Mel Kiper's face and he's like, you're going to pass on a guy because of an inch? Because of this much? And I think ever since then, Russell Wilson has opened the door for all these guys. Mm-hmm. I really do. Drew Brees too, even though Drew is over 6 feet tall. But Russell Wilson, and for Kyler Murray to be a similar size, I wanted to start there because that's the big storyline. Just your thoughts on that and other prospects you're looking at.
So the biggest news was the size of his hands, in my opinion.
Yeah, like 9.5.
Yeah, he's got baseball gloves for hands, essentially. So the ball protection is
especially in inclement weather.
That's good for him. We know his speed. We know his game speed. We know his accuracy.
Do you think he'll run?
I don't think he needs to. I think I think he'll run in pro day maybe, but I just think he's bigger than the stage. Honestly, he doesn't need to prove anything at this point. I think he's a first round draft pick quarterback, and depending on what system he's in, he's going to be very successful.
I think at this point it depends on if Cliff goes and gets him.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing, and if they can find a trade partner for Josh Rosen, because what Arizona did hiring Cliff Kingsbury was crazy in itself. So at this point, you might as well go all in and get your Big 12 quarterback, mm-hmm. and that's another
the guy reason, he's always wanted to.
Right. He's on record saying that no matter how much he tries to clean that quote up. Mm-hmm. But we covered this a lot because we cover the Big 12, right? Mm-hmm. These are we've competed against Cliff, we competed against Kyler, and now the NFL with Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield and all these guys coming, and hopefully our young Texas boys, all these guys we're recruiting are going to come and add to the conversation. But we have firsthand experience with Cliff Kingsbury, with Kyler Murray, so it's interesting because we also are NFL fans on how these guys translate to the pros, as we've seen with Mahomes, as well as Baker Mayfield. Who else is catching your eye this weekend? Other storylines for the combine?
It's not really catching my eye, and it's another Big 12 player, but I think someone who's gonna kind of catch a lot of GM's eyes is David Montgomery. He was honestly the only running back that scared me, and luckily we only played him for a half. He's a bell cow for as a running back. He's an every down back. And he probably won't run well. He'll probably run, mid 4.5s, you think?
Yeah, probably mid 4.5s.
Mid 4.5s, yeah. But the thing is, he's 225, and he packs a punch when he hits as well.
He runs every bit of it. He breaks a lot of tackles. Exceptional goal line runner.
I know yours, but yeah.
So there's a few guys I got my eye on. I think with the measurements we saw today, it's already started with DK Metcalf, wide receiver from Ole Miss. One of 3 Ole Miss wide receivers I think will get drafted. And if you want to count the tight end Dawson, could be 4. And it speaks to the recruiting and stuff that they've had and the miss that they had with their scandals and stuff. But DK Metcalf, I know the brother played like 6 college games because of the neck situation, but he looks like Josh Gordon.
Yeah.
He runs like him. The physical, he checked in today, I think at 6'3", 228, had an 82-inch plus wingspan. And if he runs a 4.45 or something like that, looks fluid in all the drills, I think the buzz will begin as the buzz has already started with him being top 10. I think the buzz will be there if a team.
He'll get paid more than what he got at Ole Miss.
I love it. John's full of jokes tonight. kids have gone to bed. He's ready to roll the sleeves back and get after it. Another guy, another guy who I have my eye on the defensive side of the ball, Brian Burns of Florida State. I'm very curious to see what that brother weighs in at, because he reminds me on tape, this is going to sound crazy, on tape, not on the field, not off the field, of Aldon Smith. And y'all remember what he did when Aldon Smith came into the league before he lost his mind off the field. Long guy, super athletic, almost like a basketball player type, right?
He's unblockable.
Unblockable, right? He's so lanky, all that type of thing. Brian Burns, I think he's going to run really fast. The thing is, he can't come in there at 220. And it's like because if he's able to come in there at 6'5", say 235 or 240, I think now there's a conversation of him going from like a late first rounder to, top 10 in the draft, top 15, top 10 in the draft, because he shows me all the other pass rush skills that I need to see, whether he's a 3-4 defensive end or a 4-3 edge rusher. So Brian Burns of Florida State is a guy I'm paying attention to. I think the storyline with the Washington players is huge. They could potentially have the number one corner and number one safety, right? Taylor Rapp, right?
Is the second year in a row, dude.
Yeah. They're churning them out. Chris Peterson, remarkable job with what he's doing in his program. Byron Murphy, I think as long as Byron Murphy runs a sub 4.5, he's going to solidify himself as the number one corner. And those of you who are out here talking about Greedy Williams, he's not better than Byron Murphy, in my opinion. But there's going to be people out here that are covering, all these things for the combine. You guys let us know in the comments who you're paying attention to, and guys you're looking out for, because, like I said, so many of these guys we competed against. I think Josh Jacobs is a guy who all the scouts love. To me, he's kind of like the Alvin Kamara in the draft, who didn't produce a whole lot on the field. I think the most rushing yards he had in the season was like 500. But on tape, you don't see any weaknesses. Yeah. And then he killed it in the playoffs. Nobody wanted to tackle the guy. He's fast as hell. So he's a guy that I'm pretty impressed with. Who do you think? So with Hollywood Brown, him being out for...
He would have been my unicorn for this, honestly.
Really?
Because I wanted to see him run. I guarantee he would have run in the 4.3s. He's... The way the NFL is going, I hate giving OU players so much praise, but he's that good. He's one of those shifty guys that give defenses problems in the way that the NFL is going, that they're not a dime a dozen. They're the people that they're going for. That, the Tyreek Hills.
Sure.
And he has that ability.
That's the thing. That. So here's where the Hollywood Brown thing is going to be interesting to me. On one hand, the Tyreek Hill could compare, although Tyreek Hill is, more compact in terms of his build. Hollywood only weighed in at 166.
166, yeah.
So that's a little disheartening. On one hand, you have Tyreek Hill. On the other hand, you have John Ross. And John Ross, granted, I think he had 6 or 7 touchdowns last year when he did play, but he hasn't been the 4.22 all-world guy, and even given the same level of production that he did at Washington. Remember at Washington, he had 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns.
Which, by the way,
and he was injured too before the draft.
Just going back to one of our old videos talking about Owens, everyone started saying, well, he's one of the fastest 100 guys in Texas. Straight line speed doesn't necessarily translate to the field. You saw Usain Bolt run a 4.22 with sandals on.
Yeah, and capris.
And capris. Yeah. So, and if that was everything, he would definitely have gotten at least a tryout for a team, and that's not.
Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot more.
So that's what. And I see what you're going with that, but his tape, Brown's tape speaks for itself. I mean, he's shifty. He goes against teams that want to stop him. He's being double teamed every single time, and I feel the Big 12 actually has a lot of good defensive backs to try to slow down these athletic and big wide receivers.
So when we're talking about the athletic and big wide receivers, let's transition to the athletic and big wide receivers.
Okay.
Antoine Wesley, our very own little Jordan Humphrey, and Hakeem Butler of Iowa State. You can throw David Sills in the mix too.
What conference was that?
The SEC? All seriousness though, jokes aside, this is a big combine for all four of those guys, right? So Wesley, Butler, Humphrey, Sills, all of them coming in over 6'3". I thought was so starting with Antoine Wesley. Knock on him. He's 6'5". He's only like 200 pounds, and he had like that one blow up year at Texas Tech. There's like no tape of him doing anything else otherwise. Where's the consistency? Can he translate?
But to his credit, he didn't really have a quarterback this past year.
Well, Bowman
he still put up. Bowman only played 4 games.
Well, he played more than that, but when the other guy came in, it was. He was still producing.
Yeah, he's still producing.
Still producing. And what's crazy is all these guys are big, but they're all different. Like Sills was like the red zone monster that was catching all the touchdowns, but he probably had the best quarterback.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, with Will Grier. So some of that is like, is that more Will Grier, is that Sills? And I think they'll both have to account for that at the combine.
Yeah.
Lil Jordan Humphrey was the one big guy that played in the slot. Not a whole lot of tape of him playing on the outside, which is what teams are like, you're kind of weird. Hakeem Butler is the big guy. He's the guy that kind of reminds me of Plaxico Burress. He's 227. Crazy thing about Hakeem Butler, 84-inch wingspan.
Yeah, it's freakish. Yeah,
that's crazy.
We were talking about it. Everyone was going crazy. This is the NBA Combine beforehand. In perspective, Kawhi Leonard's wingspan was 88 inches.
Really?
I think it's 7'4".
Wow.
And his is 7 foot, and he's 3 inches shorter than Kawhi Leonard. So those comparisons for size.
And you see it on tape with Hakeem Butler.
Yeah.
High point in the football. The thing though is he also plays to his weight because it's very hard to bring him down the open field. You saw that in the Oklahoma game, staying in bounds, running through tacklers, finishing in the end zone. He high pointed a couple balls against us, but we really got to Purdy that game.
Yeah.
But Hakeem Butler overall, I think he's a guy out of these four guys. I think he's the one that could be the big receiver to bump himself into the first round. If he runs, say, a mid 4.5, and he looks fluid in the drills, because it's not just the 40 time, like you said, it's also 3 cone and how these guys look and, the agility of it all.
Change of direction.
Change of direction is very, very important. Lil Jordan Humphrey, and we'll transition guys to the final part of this video, is going to be our UT guys who are there. Very excited to see them perform this weekend. Lil Jordan Humphrey weighing in at 210 pounds when he was listed at 225 during the season. Looks like he shed some weight.
He focused on his speed because that was the main question mark for him was his
Let's be blunt. Let's be blunt. What have the scouts said about him? They think he's slow.
Yeah, they think he's slow. And so dropping 15 pounds, that really can change perception of everything if you run a pretty good. I think if he runs a 4.5, that's good.
That's great.
Mid 4.5.
I think if he's in the mid 4.5s, I will take that for him at 6'4", because I think he'll do better than people think in the change of direction stuff. I think with him, there's a real concern.
Background too.
So, exactly. And I think his football acumen will shine. I think with him, the real concern is his straight line speed.
Straight line
speed. And he doesn't have the tape is not on his side.
No, it's not.
His most explosive play as a Texas Longhorn was the kick return that got called back in the Big 12 championship game. So it didn't even count. But like as a wide receiver, yes, he has plays where he's high pointing the football or on like a 40-yard jump ball or something like that, but he doesn't have as many of those as Wesley or Butler because he had to play in the slot. So it's one of those things that helps. It's a blessing and a curse because he does have more routes that he got to run, a lot of pivot routes and things where he really had to separate and short and intermediate.
And he showed on tape that it takes a gang to tackle him too.
Yes, his run after catch is his X-Man ability, as Rob Babers likes to, as he coined. But overall, like if Lil Jordan Humphrey can dispel some of the speed things, I think that really, really can help his stock. Him coming in at 210, very, very surprising. Yeah. Of the UT guys, we just talked about Lil Jordan. Who else do you think can really, really help their stock with a good combine performance?
Gary Johnson. And I think he will help his stock too, because once they see
he's gonna be fast.
Speed, his track speed, and he does have really good hips too. So when they do the change of directions, the 3-cone drills, the back pedal, flip your hips, because they do that for the linebackers too. I think he's gonna impress a lot of coaches too.
I think Gary Johnson is kind of the obvious one. Yeah. I am concerned about his weight. I want to, he needs to be around 225 to 230. You got to have some, if he's below that, because there's sometimes where some people are listing him at 220 or, even smaller than that, so he has to be fast. But I think that his tape in terms of his first step and even like the shuttle stuff, that speaks to his ability, his explosiveness as a blitzer, right? So just watching him in those drills, he's not going to be able to help himself as much with outside of the speed stuff. I mean, now you can go on the bench and throw it up with the best of them, right? But overall, I think, another guy I'm looking at is Chris Boyd, the much maligned Chris Boyd, who, according to NFL.com and Lance Zierlein, who does their evaluations, they actually have Chris Boyd as the highest rated Texas prospect for the draft over Lil Jordan, over Charles Omenihu, and others. Why? Not buying it?
The only thing I could see is that he was always in position to make the play. But the thing is, he didn't make the play all the time, I think he's definitely a draftable player. No doubt about it. But he's not a higher prospect than Omenihu. He's not a higher prospect than Gary Johnson.
Why do you think Omenihu's starting to get knocked a lot? Because I'm starting to see people say, we don't know what position he's going to play. He didn't have these great numbers. Like, he played well as a senior. But
I think it's his strength. I think they think he's just long right now. But I think if he puts up 22 reps on the bench, their minds will be changed a little bit.
I'm also wary, though, of guys with long arms.
Yeah, and that's why I said 22.
Gotcha.
That's why I said, because for D linemen, you should be hitting 28 to 35 range.
Right.
In that. But someone who's as long as him,
you're not going to bench as much. Right?
Yeah, 22 is a good number for him.
Okay.
And so that's the only thing, because you see his motor in the game. You see it on tape.
I think you saw it at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, you saw it at the Senior Bowl. You saw how if it's one-on-one, he's not going to be blocked. And if he is blocked, it's by design, where he's trying to read the running back and what the quarterback's doing. So his mental game has increased so much throughout his 4 years at Texas. And it has to be his strength. That's the only thing that I can think of.
Yeah, there's a lot of, when I say question marks, I still think Charles Omenihu, when it's all said and done, and when these teams talk to these guys, because I think personality does play a big part of it as well. I still think he'll be like a third, fourth round guy, which is not bad at all. And we're coming down to the last days of us having, guys not in the first round conversation with all the recruiting and things that have been going on. Like guys like Caden Stearns and some of these other guys are going to be first rounders, in my opinion. So we'll be in the conversation with these we're coming. Yeah. But for right now, with the guys we have, a lot of these guys are talking about mid-round or if they're even draftable.
Yeah, so back to the Chris Boyd thing. I personally, like I said, he has great technique as a defensive back, and he's physical. So that's his pluses. His negatives are his ball skills are not that terrible.
And even when the ball's in front of him, he has a lot of drop picks.
His hands are not good.
I think he's a guy who they may look to move to inside or something because he is physical. He's never afraid to hit somebody.
Yeah.
He will play special teams. That's the one thing I do like about our guys, by the way, that are there.
Play.
All of them are going to play special teams. Lil Jordan Humphrey played special teams his whole freshman year and a lot of his sophomore year.
Yep.
So all these guys are going to run. They'll run down and cover kicks. They'll make a team. Gary Johnson, will make somebody's roster. He's kind of like how Poona Ford was when Poona didn't get drafted, but it's like he's going to make a 53-man roster.
Yeah.
When they get in camp, coaches will fall in love with them, is what it is. So y'all let us know who y'all looking at, from a UT perspective in the combine.
We're forgetting about Devante Davis. That's why I was thinking that.
That was my sleeper guy before.
I think he's Chris Boyd isn't even our best defensive back there. I think Devante Davis, with his length, his ball skills and speed. By ball skills, he had a lot of pass breakups. He didn't have a lot of forced turnovers.
Right.
But this past year, he played a great year. I thought he guarded the best wide receivers on the opposite side. I think he played well.
I think for him, a big part of it is going to be his physicality, and because I have him as my sleeper guy of all the UT guys.
UT.
Yeah, and, because we get to pro day as well. Guys like PJ Locke and some of the others that didn't get a chance to get invited will have a chance to compete. But Devante Davis, he has great size. I think he has better ball skills, but he also didn't produce a whole lot of turnovers either. And these coaches want to see that because, look, you're going to give up yards in the league. It's who can make plays, who can flip a game, who can get their hands on a ball in the red zone or force a fumble and stuff like that. So, Devante is going to have to speak to some of those things, right? So that's going to be very, very interesting to see as his plays out. But he's my sleeper guy, Devante Davis. So I'm glad you finished by bringing him up. Anybody else or anything else you want to cover? Because I'm actually pretty good to go for today, and I can't wait to just watch this weekend.
Yeah, can I
see how things unfold? The combine is weird because it's like you're just watching dudes work out, but the conversations that get had. Oh, you were talking about something. This is where I want to end. The Raiders, 3 first-round picks, and your boy, somebody you're a big fan of, Mike Mayock.
I thought that was a huge hire for them, to tell you the truth. It went a little bit under the radar. He's spent so many years evaluating, spending time with all the best GMs within the NFL to find the type of player that each team is looking for. And he's now in that position to pick these players and especially pick 3 first-rounders. I wouldn't be surprised if they traded one of those to try to get two in the later rounds.
I don't know why you're so excited about this though. Like, John, don't you think John Gruden's gonna still be the one that, like, how much power, like, in ability will Mike Mayock have? Also, I'm always leery of, like, TV. You have, like, 2 TV guys.
It's gonna be a collaborative effort, absolutely. But I think he hired him specifically for that reason, is that he has that experience of. I mean, you gotta think of how many hours he used to watch every single player, watch all their highlights.
And do their evaluations.
See how they would fit within an organization. And it's not, now it gets to just funnel it down to just one organization. He was doing this for all the NFL, for every team, what their needs and their positions were. And I think
it was something we were discussing earlier, and I completely disagreed with John on it. Y'all chime in. Do you guys think Mike Mayock's a good fit for the Raiders?
I'm not saying that he's going to be a great GM, but I think he'll be a great talent evaluator. I do. I don't think he's going to be a great GM, but this first draft, it may be very important to them, especially with the 3 first rounders right there.
That's the thing. 3 first rounders, we're going to find out right off the bat. Right off the bat. And look, also how you do in the mid rounds. Like, I talk about this with the Cowboys, my team, but us hitting not just.
I'm a Cowboys.
Oh
yeah. So,
Dak Prescott and some of the guys we've gotten in the mid rounds that have become game changers for us. How well we've done recently throughout our entire draft. Michael Gallup last year. So that's where I also critique GMs. Not just, to me, you should hit your first round pick.
No. I completely agree with that, and that's why I was saying I wouldn't be shocked if they're last in the, what are they, like 23rd in the first round. That's their last of the three. If they traded that one for like a early second and then an early third, to get more talent in, as because they got rid of a lot of they cleaned house kind of last year.
Yeah, they completely did. Yeah. So, we'll see. Very, very interesting discussion.
I want to thank the.
Oh yeah, John Matthews, one of our loyal subscribers who, was actually doing a campaign earlier. And John, if you want to chime in with the comments on the details, you were doing some decals. We got one up here on John's laptop. I just want to say thank you. Says we're back.
Yep.
John, again, thank you, brother, for
thank you very much.
holding us down with that. Very, very kind. And so wanted to show some love there. Appreciate you guys as always. I know we don't have our weekly content just with news and stuff, but as the spring here ramps up, we'll ramp with it. So appreciate you guys. Horns always up. Check y'all out later.
Enjoy the workouts, guys.